John Solomon, who I think is one of the best journalists in the country. He is the CEO of Just the News and editor-in-chief of Just the News. He is also an unpaid advisor to President Trump on this issue because he has been at the forefront of exposing and getting these things declassified. And so he knows the story better than anybody else. Welcome to the program. John, how are you?
I'm great, Glenn. Great to be with you. Thanks for having me on.
Can you quickly explain your new role at the White House? What is it that you do? How do you separate that from news and journalism?
That's a great question. So really, I'm just a journalist who got the chance to go to the White House and tell the White House which documents I've heard about that I've never been able to get through FOIA lawsuits or through my relationship with Tulsi Gabbard. I had heard these things about China getting 220 million voter records, and I couldn't get them out of Tulsi Gabbard before I left. And so at some point, the White House said, well, listen, why don't you just come here, work with a team of intelligence officers, tell them what you want. When they find it, and we'll declassify it, and you can go out and explain to the American public. So I have the sort of the same exact role that I do every day, other than I just have a shortcut to getting the documents that I think will benefit the entire country. But
has that ever happened in history in America? I've never heard of that. I mean, that is...
I don't think so. I have to thank the president.
Quite the deal.
Yeah. Susie Wiles and the president decided this would be a good idea. By the way, it's built on a model. They didn't use a journalist at the time, but Barack Obama had a transparency office in the White House in 2015 and 16, and that's what I modeled. That was my suggestion, and they have come back. So there's 7 or 8 career intelligence officers. I tell them what I've learned as a reporter. They go out and try to find it. If they find it, they say, we got something, can't show you yet. We'll get it declassified. They take it over to the White House. They get it classified. They send it to the intelligence. Is this accurate? Yep. Anything that you want redacted, that, sources and methods. And then as a mere mortal, I finally get to look at it. And then I go out and try to tell the public what we found.
Okay. April this year, you guys reported on the 2020 election meddling.
We did.
So what did we hear last night that was new? Anything?
Yeah, a lot. So in April, I had the benefit of something very small. I had a single document from Avril Haines' team with 2 sentences saying, hey, we think China got access to photo files. What did that mean? That sounds serious, because I know we indicted Iranian hackers for getting access to just 100,000 voter files in 2020. So what's China been doing? Why don't we know about it? When those documents came back, I was floored. I was literally floored, Glenn, because what we learned was that China didn't have just some files, not 100,000 like Iran, 220 million. They had the holy grail of the voter list in America. And this shocked me because, for one, we indicted Iran for just 100,000. 2, the CIA had these documents saying if anyone ever got these voter files, here are the nefarious things they can do. 3, in 2024, Joe Biden got up and railed on China because China had hacked Great Britain's voter file database. By the way, only 40 million files there, about a fifth of what was taken from America. And no one told the American public through this whole time we were much larger victims. By the way, this is larger than the Equifax leak of 2017, which was about 148 million Americans impacted, 220 million. We were kept in the dark about something that in any other time would have been immediately alerted to the public.
So, John, I just said at the same time, the media and half the states are saying we can't give the U.S. federal government access to voter data files.
You're so
because
right.
It's too dangerous for the U.S. to have.
Yeah.
The media today is on television saying it's no big deal. You could buy this stuff anywhere. So which is it, John? Which is it?
It's a little bit of both. There are some states, though not all 50 states, but there are some states that you can buy the commercial versions of those databases. That commercial version doesn't have the holy grail stuff. It doesn't have some of the things that you need to be fully read. So you'll know John Solomon votes in Virginia. By the way, I don't vote, but if I did, I'd be voting in Virginia. But you won't know some specific things, and like identifiers and driver's licenses. What China does is it takes the commercial data first, and then it sends a hacking unit, and it's called the CNE, and then they go in and they hack into the databases and get the stuff that really you can register with. The stuff you buy commercially is just surface level, sort of that John Solomon registered in Virginia. That's all you know. when you get the voter file its entirety by hacking either commercial, government, or state voter databases, you're now in a position to make a ballot request for someone from China. So there are 6 things that the U.S. government said once China got access that they would be able to do. One, they would vote in your name, and you'd show up and they say, sorry, sir, you can't vote because you already voted. And you're like, wait, I didn't vote. But remember how some people said that happened in 2020. I remember that coming on. Mm-hmm. The second thing that would happen is they could change a little bit of your voter file without you knowing. You'd go in with your license, and I'm at this street, and they say, no, sir, you can't vote because you're registered on this one, so you're going to have to do a provisional. We may or may not count it. The third thing they could do is go and take your identity, move you to another state. You'll never know you're living in Virginia, but you just got registered in Michigan, and China will vote there for you. And you'll never know. You may never know you voted in another state. And then they can do things by taking their other data hacks that they have on Americans and start targeting you for malign influence. Like there are very clear things in these documents we released yesterday that no one's ever seen before. The Chinese were telling their consulates, target people with this messaging. Then they told their social media folks, make it look like Donald Trump is a bad person. Make it try to foment racial strife on the streets. Now, I want to compare this, what these documents say, to what Mark Warner was saying. Nothing happened from China. If you hack 220 million voter files from us, if you're trying to foment racism and a division on our streets, if you're trying to use your social media, if you're using blackmail, by the way, China was gaining blackmail on U.S. officials so that they could embarrass them just before the election. If you're doing those things, you have intervened in our election. I don't care what any Democrat or some knucklehead on CNN is saying. Those 4 things are thresholds that amount to interference in any common American's mind.
Okay, so I thought that there were 2 things that came out. One,
sure,
that this is really important, this voter data, and they could just use it for algorithms to shape you on how you're going to vote. All the things you just said, and shape you as well. And 2, and this might have been a bigger thing, the cover-up from our own intelligence agencies. I mean, John, this is what happened in Vietnam to some degree. It's what happened with Iran-Contra in a way where everybody said, well, no, the president knew. Here we know the president didn't know. And It was a problem every time something like this has happened. And I think this is the most important violation of this. Them keeping information vital from the president of the United States. I think, is there anything here that is going to be so indisputable that you'll see an actual perp walk?
Yes, I do. I think it's possible. I think you'll see terminations first, right? And so the CIA is now reviewing everyone that was involved with a presidential daily briefing for which this information was withheld. And you're seeing things here that you're showing up on screen so important. They basically are talking about deliberately massaging President Trump's database so he won't see the Chinese election interference stuff. There are people watching this that are pros in the intelligence community. They're not trying to cover it up, and they're writing back to this like, it boggles the mind that we're going to keep this from the president. Another FBI person who kept pulling back China intelligence interference reports and not letting the community see them so they can be investigated, wrote in her own text messages to her colleague, I'm running a shadow government. I'm running a shadow government to keep the president and others from learning about this. It is remarkable when you hear that those sort of text messages, what was going on. Other people writing, this is clearly politics. We should be telling the president. An NSA guy said, I'm alarmed that we're not telling the president, but I was too weak to stand up and object in the meeting. This was one of the widest secrets in the intelligence community, that some intelligence analysts used their power to keep the president in the dark about a 220 million voter data breach, about the vulnerability of machines in elections, about Venezuela's successful hack of a voter machine in a controlled environment, not in an election, but in a laboratory setting. All of those things are things that are actionable, that a president and a Congress needs to know in real time. And we had analysts in the intelligence community who thought their political purposes were more important than our national security. They didn't want Donald Trump to have this. They didn't want Donald Trump to make a China argument. So they shut off the spigot of information for what they're paid to provide the president. It's fraud. It is deceit. It is harmful to our national security.
Talking to John Solomon, there seems to be some dots to connect between the investigation into the CCP billionaire Neville Singham, then Cuba's efforts to agitate in the U.S., Marco Rubio and the State Department's mission to crack down on violent far-left extremism, an amazing.
Did you see that conference yesterday? Yeah, it was amazing.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Amazing.
It was.
And to disrupt their financial networks. Is there more to come on this? Am I seeing dots that
I think you're seeing boulders. I think you're seeing boulders coming down a hill, picking up momentum. I think the FBI and the IRS are going to begin taking some really big actions against people that might have been conspiring with foreign powers to harm American national security. There is evidence that I'm working on right now, by the way, as a reporter, not my government job right now, that there was contact going on between U.S. groups and foreign enemies, specifically related to the anti-ICE and ICE out protests. Imagine that if anyone involved in that was conspiring with a foreign power to harm our United States. That's something we're looking at right now. Scott Bessent came on my show a couple of weeks ago and said we are going to start pulling IRS tax exemptions and making people pay taxes for what they did, and they may be charged with fraud if they claim they were doing public good and instead they were doing public harm under a tax exemption. So the IRS, the FBI, the Homeland Security Investigations Unit created a task force, and they are cracking down. And I think the first fruits of that are likely to be in the next month. We'll start to see actual activity, perp walks, actions in court, IRS actions, and that is the beginning of a long haul because our country has been embedded with nonprofits that are aligned with foreign enemies, and that is something that is not a good security posture.
When the president said in a tweet, one of the most terrifying and yet so satisfying tweets, I don't know, about within the last month, he said something along the lines of, the communists are starting to come out everywhere, and I've been waiting for this moment.
Yeah.
Wait to see what's coming. It's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah.
Is this the beginning of this?
I think that is what he's referring to, that we now are moving towards a body of evidence that Americans were working with our enemies to harm our country. I don't know what charge that will be. You can throw terms like treason, sedition. I don't know yet, but I do believe that that's what everybody's working on. That is a very, very important development in our country. And it's important for another reason. Scott Rasmussen has a poll out today. 31% of Americans now think socialism is good, and not even a majority think it's bad any longer. That is the most alarming statistic I've ever seen. What it means is the mainstream media have normalized what is the radical in America, and they're now convincing people that socialism is good. It has never been good in world history. It has been repressive. It is bad at this moment. The joy that Venezuelans have today versus 6 months ago shows you what happens when people get a little freedom from the repression of socialism. Every economy that ever was socialist has failed, and yet Americans, a third of Americans nearly, think this is a good thing. We have to nip that in the bud, stop that. And the way you stop it is by stopping the propagandists who pump that into our information system every day to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars a year.
I have about 40 seconds left. Let me just ask you this last question. In one of the documents released last night, the Chinese government sought to identify U.S. journalists who had reported negatively on the U.S. presidents and pay them to write more negative articles about him.
Yep.
Are we ever going to get to a place where we will see names?
I've asked for that now. The commission just asked for that task force. So if there are any journalist names that they've confirmed, I hope we'll be able to make them public sometime soon.
Wow. Thank you for thinking for yourself and being part of a movement, because that's really what all of this.
Wasn't that just amazing?
Oh, there's a lot said right there. My goodness. The first thing he said right out the gate was what he said about Tulsi, which you can take a couple different ways, I'm sure, that, he...
Well, before you go any further, what he said about Tulsi, tack it on to the final thought he gave, and that'll explain it.
Remind me.
What was the final thought? Treason? Final thought, treason charges.
So it just wasn't time. It just wasn't, she wasn't ready. It wasn't ready to be shared.
She can only declassify what's been used, right?
Right. Wow. Hey guys, thank you all for joining this evening's edition, episode 52 of Feisty Diggs. And Both my apologies and thank you for understandings on postponing today's show.
Okay, let
show
me
for
tell
today.
the story, folks. Let me tell the story. I was going to run the show myself, and he says, I don't want to miss anything.
I didn't want to miss it.
So here we are today. So I did a dry run in my chat yesterday just because it was Monday. I had to do it.
Yeah, again, it's the second week in a row I had to go down to Portland. I haven't shared this yet. I almost shared it last night, but I was even questioning whether or not to, because I didn't want it to seem too much chaos going on in my family. But you know how my grandmother tripped, slipped, and then she got staples in her head and all this, and then we had a family friend that died week before.
Last week.
And then my uncle, oh my gosh, had a terrible incident and spent all day yesterday at Maine Medical Center. Oh. So that was my weekend into the week, and then thankfully left early enough so that I could make it home in time to do the news last night. So I've been go. Won't be able to go till 6:30 tonight because I got to do some grocery shopping finally. But I was looking forward to doing this. Very much so. I've been looking forward to doing this because you and I have yet to talk since Trump's announcement speech he did last week. Mm-hmm. And
yeah, so what I wanted to do,
every Friday, right? Or the next couple Fridays?
Well, from what John Solomon said, we don't know exactly which days, but there's a lot more to come. We just got our noses tickled.
Well, so, I'll tell you. So the response from leftist media has been interesting.
There's nothing in there.
Oh gosh, and the CIA agent Alyssa Slotkin, also what's interesting. Fox News hasn't reported on not one iota of it.
Because they're one of the captured news organizations.
Certainly.
You got to go back to the Horowitz report and you see that there's an unholy alliance between the agencies and the media, which, I mean, shocker, right? They needed the media.
Yeah, it reminds me of
that was from the very beginning.
It had me wondering if the Dominion case is looming or is playing a role. Well,
I do think it is playing a role, but I think there's another role, not just Dominion, but it was known back in 2020 that Chinese had captured our databases, but it was treated as Russian disinformation.
Oh, gatekept. Okay, so it was gatekept. Oh, wow.
Yes, and all the media did that.
And I don't pin it on like individuals. Like Jesse or Strokeface.
No, it's a corporate. That's why you saw the exodus of a lot of people from corporate media, because, and in fact, Catherine Heritage has said that she got tired of being told what she can and can't say. So I'm just saying, from the very beginning, with the political gossip that started Russiagate, they needed the media to normalize the story. Now the media is starting to get caught up. And you're going to watch over the next several weeks, for those that are even daring to talk about it, they're going to get caught in their own narrative because it's just going to pile on. And John Solomon referred to it as boulders. Think snowball. It starts as a little, becomes.
Yeah. And we don't have Mare Bear today either.
No, she's out of town till Friday.
Yeah, I just saw a picture of her and Johnny smiling ear to ear. It was nice to see.
I'm so glad to see that.
Yeah, and so you got some slides for us today.
I have a big one today. What I wanted to do is take this opportunity, since we've got the first dump, to bring people up to speed on the whole story.
Good, because I got to tell you, just from my vantage point, and I'm seeing this with my family, IRL, okay? There's a lot of nervous people right now.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about the people who are nervous are people who are privy to, what's going on, who are arguably based, and know and understand and comprehend the threat of communism, the threat of the DSA. And the way I see it, and maybe you can kind of clear this up throughout your dig, is MAGA tent, or I should say the GOP tent, started its transition into MAGA. This is what I've been explaining lately. Transition into MAGA beginning, I think, 2018. You can make a case that it started 2016 or 15.
It actually started in 12. Let me give you that. So MAGA, actually, remember, go back to 2008, we had Occupy Wall Street. 2010, we had the Tea Party. MAGA is actually the marriage of both. And it started when Trump first said he was going to run for office back in 2011. It got all blown up, but what he did was he found a coalition. And when you come up to the MAGA tent for the 2016 run-up, he actually successfully married both. Do you know how I know that to be fact? Q movement.
Oh,
it was almost 50% Bernie Bros versus conservatives. Remember?
So that's and I think you're right. Actually, I think you're right. But what I'm referring to is more getting the old guard out of the GOP.
Yes.
Right.
Which actually, I'm going to go back again. Do you remember Benghazi?
Of course.
Okay. So there was a guy named Johnson who was in the House that actually met with Christopher Stevens the Thursday before Benghazi happened.
Oh, wow.
And it was Laura Ingraham that got him to admit that, something like March or April of the next year in 2012, got him to admit that, and bam, he was out of office. He decided to take up a radio spot because there was a void. Those were his words, not mine. So we actually started to see the Republican Party quietly clean itself out.
And I would argue that coming up to this midterm that we're going to see almost the completion. Almost. There still might be a couple, but I think that even those few, like Senator Collins and
I think
Lisa
his
Murkowski,
goal is to minimize their impact.
Right, exactly. And at the same time, I would make the case that the blue tent is, see, this is a little gray area. You can consider AOC, Ayanna Pressley, Rashida Tlaib, etc., even Liz Warren as the DSA sect of the blue tent. And I feel like they're just beginning their transition into weaning out the old school, the old guard Dems. We've been watching that process weaning for a while, but I would make the case that really this coming midterm is the beginning
It's
of
going
that.
to be a decided repudiation.
And that's what people I'm seeing are nervous about. And I get it.
This is where I think we were given sage advice, trust in humanity. I really do think we were given sage advice because when you talk to people, regardless of the political stripe they wear, we all want the same thing, and it isn't communism. So while the media is trying to normalize it through the youth, the actual voting public doesn't want it.
Right. Yeah, and this proves to me that Hill Dog was supposed to manage the decline of the economy. Because
not her, but her administration.
Her administration was managed the decline, which would have encouraged Americans to clamor for government to step in and do something, and then in comes it. So very Hegelian dialect.
So somebody did come in to fix it, but they didn't. They didn't like it,
and they weren't anticipating Trump. So Trump has thwarted these plans, but they and again, I'm just giving you my summary of what I see, and what I think is they are following through with their plans, regardless of Trump or not.
Well, remember the 16-year plan. If you actually compare that to the 4 Trump years, you will see they never stopped.
That's how I've been explaining it to my friends and family.
They continue to work towards that.
Yep.
So by the time you get the Biden years, all they had to do is flip the switches on each of those. And we saw the emptying out of the military, but they had already started doing that. And you can actually mark it. In fact, I used to have it on my old account. I used to have it pinned saying, yes, we are here. And I showed them
Oh,
the complete
yes.
16-year plan
Yes.
completely filled up.
Yes.
And I kept saying, yes, we are here. That account is gone. I should probably repin that. But the purpose of it was to show that it wasn't Trump failing. In fact, I got a couple of interesting things to show you today that I think is going to open your eyes a little bit as to what he knew he was up against. And why they decided to let them steal the election in 2020. Because when you see how they built the system, you'll understand not just the political gossip that started it, but how it became a mechanism to suppress. And you'll understand it more as I go through each of the layers. But it was really uncanny. Now, when I went through, and I have to say, most of this stuff I had already previously researched. When I tried to pull it together, I was using, AI, using AI to kind of blend them, okay? And I came up across a couple of projects I wasn't aware of. And when I saw them, it was like, wait a minute.
Operate the vault?
No, I knew about the vault. There's an
project?
executive order on that. No, cranberry and coconut.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So when I saw that, it was like, okay. And I just sat back and I went, wait, they bypassed it. And wait till I show you how they did it. So what you're seeing is a system that is, well, people make choices, not systems, but.
Oh, yes.
Right. So the people within the system started to get really desperate.
I got into this last night with somebody in the chat about courts, that courts don't lie, that people within
People
courts.
manipulate them.
People are in courts are the ones who lie. And then you got, and this is really concerning. I say concerning because I'm saying this through the lens of people who don't follow this stuff on a normal basis. Andy Burnham.
Yeah.
Wow. And Trump's response to Andy Burnham, for anyone who doesn't know or hasn't been following, Andy Burnham is now the new prime minister of Great Britain. And,
Great Britain.
Wow. And everything
And he
said.
walked back the censorship stuff, you noticed.
I didn't notice
For now.
that. Well,
For now.
he went back and hazed what's her name? Oh gosh, why does her name escape me? Back in the 90s, early 2000s, who was
Margaret Thatcher.
Margaret Thatcher. He pretty much said that was a disaster. Everything which was free market capitalism. And he's alluding to everything he said in that speech yesterday was all socialist talking points. And this guy's unelected, was not voted in. So concerning.
I think he's a Hail Mary right now, though. We'll have to watch what he does because there's been a few things he said. It's like, okay, I can see where it can be turned. So I'm watching.
Yeah.
So we'll see what he does.
And the fact that Trump said what he said, he didn't.
I didn't catch that. Tell me what he said.
So he posted yesterday about Andy Burnham. Well, today he met the president of Lebanon, which is interesting too.
I think the Lebanese government has been vilified.
Oh yeah,
wrongly.
Oh my
really
gosh, they've been exploited.
I've always said that. Lebanon used to be a Christian country. It got taken over.
Very much so. That's where
Very deeply Christian.
That's
country.
where my family hails from. My great grandmother's last name was.
It got taken over.
Yeah.
And once it got taken over, the Lebanese government was doing the bidding of the terrorists that were running it, which is what Israel and the U.S. are taking care of now. And Lebanon, I knew Lebanon would step up to the plate and become a part of the coalition. In fact, I've told you about it, that we were doing these pilot programs with the Lebanese government, and they're working. So between Israel going after southern
There's
Lebanon,
good people there, I promise
yes,
you. I know
there's a
this for
lot of
sure.
good people there. I know a lot of Lebanese.
My
not
great
just
grandmother's last name was Korkaji, so
Yeah,
she
definitely
came right
Lebanese.
off the boat. Trump
Right.
said yesterday, "I had a very good conversation with the new Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Andy Burnham. We discussed many subjects, including the outstanding relationship we've had with the UK. We will be meeting in the not too distant future for topics of mutual interest, Feisty. The Prime Minister has got a big job ahead of him. but he will be able to do it. And, of course, the USA will be there to help. Huh.
Yeah, they're going into the North Sea.
And that's what he just said. We discussed North Sea oil. That's funny. Trade, the military alliance, demining of the Hormuz Strait, and many other topics. The call was interesting and went very well. So what I chalked that up to is just good diplomacy.
Yeah, but
Right.
here's the part where we got to see Burnham follow through, because Burnham had talked about walking back some of those windmills that are creating havoc. So for Great Britain to survive this next phase, they need an industry bad, and that's one that's right there at their fingertips, right? They got complete access to one of the largest reserves in the world. The fact that they're not using it is completely blows my mind. So to see him say that he would go into the North Sea is a good place to be.
Yeah.
Now the question becomes, how soon? And if we're going to be there to help him, that means we're going to be sending some mining equipment, right?
Yep.
Something.
Yep.
So hopefully it's pretty quick, because they don't have a refinery, right? They haven't needed it. It takes about 10 years to build one. So somebody has to be knocking at the door to say, hey, we'll refine it for you. And we're already building more refineries. So
they need something.
That's where the trade deal comes in,
They
right?
need some level of trade, something to offer the world, not just banking, shadow banking, etc. And yeah, Bobby Tunes, Lebanon, he says Lebanon and Syria were very high-class tourist spots in the 60s and 70s. Again, that's where both Syria and Lebanon, both sides, my mother's side and my father's side, hail from Syria and Lebanon. So a lot of Middle Eastern...
Well, when you talk about Syria, Syria is one of the most ancient and largest trade windows, corridors in history. And during the Syrian war, we eviscerated it.
It's heartbreaking to watch that.
Completely destroyed it.
Yeah, that was really heartbreaking to watch that.
Yeah, that whole trade thing. And it always floored me. How did people not see?
Do you not see?
I know, don't say that. How did you not see the communist takeover taking place? From the Ring of Fire all the way through. I don't understand. I don't understand.
Islamo-communism?
Well, because they used radical Islam so that we would be bitterly, against each other. But it was still the same story. It was all communism that took over all these countries. I don't understand how that took so long for people to get.
Because again, outsourcing our opinions and understanding of geopolitics to a very captured mainstream media, establishment media.
Yeah.
That's why.
I get it. It's just... Yeah. It's good to see the truth starting to come out.
But
I don't look so batshit crazy
different.
anymore, right?
Now things are very different. And this is, again, why I can always confirm, for me, that Q was a very real operation, because it arguably, what I chalk it up as, was a reverse psyop.
Counter psyop, same thing.
It was a psyop that countered the programming that we.
The only difference is a true psyop doesn't. It tells you what to think. Q did not.
Right.
And unfortunately, people
That's how it broke. It was through the Socratic method. That's how it broke.
That's where it comes down to, because if you recall, there was the one post about the research must be organic, and sadly, for a lot of people, it wasn't organic.
What does that mean, though? When you say that,
means you've got to go find it. You've got to go digging.
Yep.
Don't take the Q posts for the truth.
Yeah.
Use those points to develop your thesis and go digging.
And don't rely on any media or any influencer or anything like that to...
There's going to be people out there that weave a story that it may not be accurate, and I've seen that happen. I've watched it.
I mean, I'll use clips for either confirmation or to show folks that, okay, this is what the narrative is, this is what's being discussed. Like Pinata, when he covers, you can glean a lot from the reaction of leftist.
God bless him.
Media.
I can't do it. But
you know what I mean? You can get a lot. I never
listening to them.
realized. I never realized just how much. I mean,
They tell you exactly what they're going to do.
it's like going to the Jacobin or Politico and stuff, you know. So we'll get right into it. Thank you. We got some good some gold pills. You guys are crushing. Good to see Bobby Tunes, Marissa, Sad X, Sherry. I think I even saw. Let's see, we got Dana Shell, Shelly, JJ's out there. What's up, JJ? Says he's in my car. Sean and Feisty playing in my car speakers. Look at Let's Go. Maiden Pugh, Karen Huber. I think I saw a sober lady out there. There she is. And I think I even saw an Ann Boyer sighting as well. Dar family. Ron Elwitt, Just the Truth. Thank you guys for joining and choosing to share your free time on this Tuesday afternoon with us. And then we got some gold pill loving from everybody over there on Pilled. Matrix Codebreaker with the can says, there he is. Hey, Ma, the question is, will Sean be on time when the show starts?
It was me that was late.
Starts 2 hours late. Blink, mother effers. Keck from Codebreaker, always breaking codes.
And it turned out to be me that was late today.
Codebreaker's famous last words was, I did this math, ... Thank you to Tweety for the cookie. Tweety52, good to see you. Just fed up with a pair of banger shades. Says, slides are awesome. So it looks like you had a couple of, you had an audience yesterday.
Yeah, like a little over 40 people listened to the dry run.
Nice. Thank you to Dixie for the shades. Always good to see Dixie out there. Thank you for your continued support, Dixie. And thank you to Jen Hall with a can. Jen Hall says, so ready for her feisty fix.
The feisty fix.
The feisty fix. That might be a good show title.
I hope I live up to it.
The feisty fix. Crystal loves David. Thank you for the cookie.
Makes me sound like a drug.
Yep. Well, maybe there is an element of that.
Oh, stop.
Shout out to S. Jones for the can. Got my coffee. Me too, S. Jones. Always good to see you. Pen
too,
and
it's
paper.
right here.
She's even got a pen and paper ready. Love you for all you two do. Love my ARM family. Shout out to the best mods. Let's go, S. Jones. I love your attitude. And then Artist61 with a cookie. Says, afternoon, Sean and Feisty.
Good afternoon.
All right. Well, screen share is open, so take it away.
So,
what do you want to start with?
Like I said, today, I'm trying to figure out
I'm
where
student, she's professor, everybody. That's the role I play.
I don't have any video. Actually, I do, but you should see my landing slide right now, right? So,
Now
today, I wanted to take the opportunity to kind of remind everybody. For many people, it'll be a refresher. For some, they didn't know all this information. I pulled all my research together, and I pulled this deck that starts from the beginning. And I even brought in 2 legacy slides. One of them I updated, so you now have all the pictures on it as I talk to it. But I wanted to show you how the snowball started. Okay? Mm-hmm. But in order to do that, I have to go through the entire mechanics of federal intelligence as it relates to law enforcement. Because what they did...
Like FBI?
Not just FBI. You're talking federal law enforcement per se. Not just FBI, not just DOJ, CIA, all of the state... Intelligence, right.
Okay.
And they all... add to the law enforcement perspective. They all add to the investigations. So my goal today is to actually strip away all of the sanitized public relations cover stories and take you directly into the plumbing that led to the greatest witch hunt in history. Okay? Mm-hmm. So if you can go through that, and I've got 3 case studies. 2 of them land directly with the BBC lawsuit, and one of them lands on Project Vault.
Which is an $11 billion lawsuit for defamation?
The $10 billion lawsuit, which is funny because, like I brought up last week, it's a $10 billion lawsuit against the BBC for manipulating the video in in their docudrama.
It's a lot of money.
Okay. So, but here's the funny part of it, because you have to ask, why 10 billion? Why 10 billion?
Yeah.
Well, 5 billion of it is for defamation. The other 5 billion is because they broke state law in Florida. So you got a 5 by 5, 10.
Oh.
10 biblically means justice.
Oh.
I love that. I just love it.
All right.
So I kind of broke that down last week.
Yeah.
About why the 1776 fund, what he was pointing out there. I broke it all down. But today,
For anyone who doesn't remember, the 1776 fund was to help the people who have been punished by the
Deep
or
state.
abused by the weaponized government in the previous administration.
which Congress is really freaking out over because they themselves have been using the Justice Fund that was set up in the
Senate.
50s.
Yep.
So we got a little bit of an issue there, but nevertheless, that's last week's story. Today's story is actually, I'm not looking at individual mistakes. What I'm looking at is a blueprint that information and mass collection always tends towards absolute control. And especially the way they build it. So if you'll bear with me, I'm going to take you down through this maze, if you will. And I'm going to show you the history of the Dragnet. Because in order to understand the Dragnet, you've got to then understand where it came from. And Sean, take a look at this. Look at what my husband did. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that beautiful?
Prism. Oh, I see. Project
He made
Samrock.
it so because everybody says my eyes are old, I can't see. So my husband, God bless him, spent time breaking this out so that I could make these larger, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about a dragnet. To understand it, you gotta actually look at that, and you gotta go
What's a
back.
dragnet? Yeah.
That's where you go capture all the data you can find.
Yep.
Okay, so we start with Shamrock and Minaret. These are precedences for the post-World War II.
So this is before the creation
intelligence
of the ODNI.
It's before the ODNI. It's before FISA was even put into play. Okay, so we're talking post-World War II, pre-9/11.
Okay.
But it grew, right?
Yep.
So if you look at they were Cold War programs. They were established. They're the original blueprint, if you will, for using bulk, non-warranted telegraphic interception. And it actually merged with the state, and we started setting up watch lists. We started targeting anti-war activists, think MLK, and we started looking at the civil rights leaders, right? This was all used through the 60s. Okay. So when I say I understand why people radicalized in the 60s, I'm telling you, I understand. Our government was already going beyond its statutory authorities, and nobody could seem to stop it. By the time we get to the post-2000, and thank you for Snowden's leaks, because he told us about PRISM, right? But this is post-2001, after 9/11, you get PRISM and you get Mystic. These two, Mystic is still running, but PRISM literally was the playbook for Dragnet, okay? And the two-hop rule, if you will, that allowed them to capture communications from everybody. And Mystic is still being used. This allows them to literally go into a repository of every phone call and voice communication there is for up to a month and go look for something. So keep these in mind, because these are important to the whole story, because when you look at it structurally, you're talking about very broad authorities that were the blueprint for mass collection. And from that mass collection, they were able to target individuals and go look for everything. So the rule was collect it all, go find the crime later. Okay?
Or create the crime.
In some cases, they had to back into that, yes. But what is also key is you knew nothing about it until we started getting Snowden and Assange releasing some stuff, right? We knew nothing. Well, Snowden released PRISM, but didn't release all the other tools. There were more tools. He didn't release the CIA side of it.
Because he was working for the CIA, I suspect.
Because he was working for the CIA. But we started politically targeting our opponents. This is post 9/11. And we kept everything in a silo that few, if any, people could get into without special credentials. So the core of this whole thing is we weaponized all of these tactics, and so weaponized them that they became a big discussion. There's a project called Stellarwind, which is post 9/11, that kind of encompassed all of this, right?
Yep.
Stellarwind was the presidential surveillance program. In 2009, there was an IG report that said, hey, there is a potential for abusing this program. The presidential surveillance program, or Stellarwind, was designed to capture foreign intelligence. But
it started under Bush after 2001.
The war on terrorism. And up till 2009, it was a closely held program. In 2009, they did a 5-agency review of that program and said, hey, there's the potential for abuse here. Didn't say that it was abused yet, but there was the potential. It was
very compartmentalized.
Yes, there were 4 IG, and this is an interagency IG. It's not one IG, so it was 5 IGs that worked together on this. Yes. Wow. So in 2010, 11, and 12, they came out with successive reports, and by 2011, they said the program began to go sideways in 2010, 2011, and 12. It was abused. Just so you know.
Brennan.
And they started doing domestic surveillance.
Yeah, Brennan.
Yes. Under the Obama administration.
Oof.
So it's important to understand.
The last presidential authorization expired on February 1st, 2007.
Right. Yeah, and what came out May of 2007?
Under the authority of the Protect America Act of 2007.
Yeah, what came out in May of 2007? Do you remember? Directive 51.
Oh, oh my gosh. All right.
Just thought I'd connect that dot for you.
I'm thinking of Bitcoin too.
Well, Bitcoin 2009, right?
Not too long after.
So smartphone 2009, that's after the crash. 2007 was the continuity of government.
So we're talking an entirely different way of collecting data or information.
Well, I think what they began to notice is that we had an enemy within. That's my opinion.
Okay. All right.
And with an enemy from within, it's very hard to fight an enemy outside the country when you've got an enemy that is breathing down your neck right in your Oval Office, right?
Yeah.
So and it's actually the basis for a lot of the story for today. So let me take this a little further. So you remember, you've heard the term COINTELPRO.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what I'm looking at here, this is kind of like a phase 1. It's a timeline showing you all the statutory mass interceptions. Okay. So if you follow this post 9/11, you get where we get to Stellarwind. It actually encompassed what they had done post World War II. Okay. So the data collected here, the data collected in Shamrock and Minaret got pulled into the Stellarwind database. Do you understand? It they didn't delete it.
Yep.
They just kept amassing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it gets pulled into Stellarwind. It came out that it was being abused. 2007, they started up PRISM.
Okay.
You move forward to 2013, you've got Mystic. Mystic from 2011 to 2013 in that time frame started to work so well with PRISM. PRISM captured, Mystic listened, right? So you now have a complete timeline for how this whole thing comes together. So by the time we get to Trump, all of that previous work is now loaded into a database for Crossfire Hurricane.
Whoa.
All of that because of the blowback, political blowback, got landed into a database called Round River. And everything we're going to talk about today is going to show you what happened with Round River.
Holy cow. When Crossfire Hurricane faced
exposure,
scandals, and legal deed ends, it was formally
shut down, but the data was not destroyed.
So Doge?
No, Doge doesn't need to be in there, but I'm sure it did. What's interesting is when you understand, and that's going to go through my legacy slides, when you understand that there was no predicate, remember? There was no predicate for Crossfire Hurricane. There was no predicate for the Russia collusion. So what does that mean?
With the Patriot Act?
This is where it gets really bad.
Okay.
Because if there's no predicate, there was no crime, all of that data goes into Round River. They're looking for a crime. They're going to back into a crime. Remember what ended up happening here? Wow. It ended up being everything in that database ended up being fruit of the poisonous tree, meaning it couldn't be used in a court of law.
Because it was obtained illegally. But you don't need that. You could just use that information to go find.
Hello, Round River.
Okay. Yeah. Because you can. If you can use information to find something currently or to obtain evidence that's unrelated or that wasn't captured using this and just say you stumbled across it. I don't know.
Right. Well, what they're doing here, what the big deal is here, is you've got to follow the path because you've got a strategic relationship here where you're laundering information from database to database to database to database. Right? It's an information laundering loop.
So it was an FBI op that was a deep state conspiracy to thwart investigation into Biden family corruption. Wow, that sounds familiar.
Yeah. You're talking Round River.
Yeah. Margot Cleveland wrote about it.
So let me keep going because you've got here, you're seeing the development of the problem. Okay. When Round River has the data from all of these, then you have a continuous repository to go find anything against anybody at any time. Are you following?
Yeah, it's dangerous.
Very dangerous. So keeping this going, because if you look down here, the whole dragnet requires that we add to this. So by the time we get to Round River, even though the data from Crossfire is tainted and fruit of the poisonous tree, all Jack Smith had to do was reissue subpoenas to clean the investigative material.
But he didn't.
And he reissued some 400 subpoenas. What was he doing? He was cleansing the bad data. So you issue a subpoena for your money, your financial records, your call logs, go down the list. And what you're looking for is a way to take this information and make it presentable in a court of law. So it was always a witch hunt, right?
Yeah.
So taking that the next step, because Round River is the bridge. And when you're looking at the bridge, you're talking about, what side am I for? Taking 50 years of intelligence reforms. Here's the problem. We kept putting in reforms. Okay. We kept putting in guardrails, but they always found a way around them. I've highlighted 4 here because FISA from 1978 really is the beginning. In 2001 was Section 218 of the Patriot Act. That really broadened their ability by changing the language in it.
That's when Trump re-signed it, right?
No, Section 218 is from 2001. That's the Patriot Act 2001.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
In 2004, you have about 2001 to 2004, you got Stellarwind, which is the dragnet. And then you get 702 in 2008. Everybody knows about 702. What they don't know about is 218 because that's the latterability that they received. And what it did is it altered a legal standard. It required foreign intelligence to be a significant purpose for the FISA, and rather than a primary purpose. So it loosened the language. So if gathering foreign intelligence is a primary purpose, then my FISA is constrained. But calling it a significant purpose, I could add to it.
Wait, all right.
218.
I might have gotten a little lost there. So again, just to get everybody caught up, a 702 is a form that every FBI has to fill out. Every FBI agent has.
702 is the database.
It's the database
that allows
that collects what? Allows for what?
It collects all the FISA information. So we talk about Section 702. That is the central repository for all this collected data. We never talk about 218 was how they collected the data.
Oh, using things like Stellarwind and Prism.
So in Section 218, they changed the language from primary purpose to significant purpose. When they did that, they broadened what they could capture under FISA.
So, okay. So if they're investigating, if they're investigating even a foreign agent, and that foreign agent has ties, made a phone call to an American, then they can branch off of that one phone call made to that American, right? Then they can go researching or listening on phone calls that American has made to other friends and families, and it's like a big spider web.
It's the two-hop rule. Yeah, they could go 2 hops. So they're targeting you. You and I talk. They're then going to target me. I'm going to get captured.
Your friends, your
and
family.
And then who I talk to gets
caught. And
caught.
then their friends and their family.
Right. It's a 2-hop rule. So, in other words, before long, they pretty much have everybody in the country captured in a database, right?
Oh, my God.
Which was the big question that led to the Snowden release.
Wow.
That is right there is the genesis for why Snowden told you about Prism.
Which I've always had the sneaking suspicion that somebody put Snowden up to it to do something.
I agree with you.
To achieve something
What always got me is it didn't tell you the whole story.
It did not even close, right? It
didn't even come close.
Omitted very pertinent information.
Yeah,
wow.
And it very casually put the finger on NSA, which is where the 702 database is housed.
Right.
Didn't tell you about the rest of the intel community, in particular the CIA.
NSA, right.
Right. So we've got a huge problem here. And I added Chevron deference because when people started asking questions, Chevron deference came to play. And the agencies were able to justify what they were doing under national security. And remember, Chevron allowed the agencies to broadly interpret the law. And the courts went along with it.
That's when the administrative state really started to take stride and really run with applying law, their own interpretation of it.
So the key to remember here is we've got many years of data collection. So when Crossfire Hurricane was closed, and I'm going to use air quotes because it never really officially closed, it relied on their own file management classification system. Okay. And they boxed up, for lack of a better term, picture boxes, boxed up all of that intel, put it under a restricted access control, and rolled it straight into Round River.
Oh. Okay. I'm following. Wow.
You're following it.
Yeah.
So where these controls were put in place, they're being successfully undone.
As we speak.
Well, I don't know about now, but yeah, every single control that tried to curtail the abuse of the system was immediately undone. We went from Crossfire. We had the whole repository was preserved until Round River came up in 2018. And then all of the investigations that come after that are all using all that previous database stuff.
I wonder if this is the role that people like Tulsi Gabbard, maybe even a Bongino as deputy director of the FBI, or Kash Patel for that matter, or Bill Pulte. I wonder if this is the role that they played, or Ratcliffe.
Well, keep in mind who you're talking about. Ratcliffe, Pulte, Blanche, Cash, Tulsi, right? Who are they? They're all
Intelligence.
They all have access to all of this data.
Right. Especially Pulte.
Well, Pulte, because he oversees the entire shebang. But what I'm getting at is you've got people that now have access into a database that heavily restricted access to only their core people.
For all we know, though, couldn't they have gone in the previous administration and wiped out anything that's
I don't think we would have
defamatory?
had Thursday if that was true.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Somebody prevented. If they tried to delete it, nothing's ever fully deleted. It got caught.
Do you
Got put
remember
back.
in 2020, a U.S. attorney was tasked by Barr, Attorney A.G. William Barr, with vetting evidence related to the Biden family and Ukrainian corruption?
Yeah, and do you
that
know why they
he
couldn't come
knew
up with
nothing?
anything?
He knew nothing
why?
about the recently revealed Round River, the FBI operation.
Okay, so you're reading a great article that proves my point. When they built Round River, they had a restricted access on that. So no IGs, no prosecutors, nobody outside their circle got access to that data.
That's knowingly obstructing justice.
Oh, gee, that is against the law, isn't it?
Yes.
That's exactly what John Solomon was telling you about. This is exactly what John Solomon is now going through. When he said he knew of certain things, couldn't pierce the veil with FOIAs, and he's now going through finding that information, or he's telling them about it, they're finding it, getting it declassified so he could report on it. They're going through the Round River repository.
Whoa!
So you're just, if you've got it under a moniker of special investigative material or matter, and you could put it behind a designation that says special access, you keep everybody out of it regardless of what their mandate is.
But this was the FBI that
But
prohibited.
even, it's not just the FBI, but yes, the FBI, the DOJ. I'm not saying Barr did something wrong. I'm not even saying the attorney, because we already know they were gatekeeping.
Right. But they didn't know they didn't know they didn't have access to this.
Right.
Somebody within the FBI apparently tried to bury
hold on,
this.
Sean.
Okay.
I'm getting you all excited.
Yes, you are. This is incredible.
So
Wow.
this is the pipeline mechanism, right? We go to Crossfire, capture all that material,
Okay.
close it down, at least as far as the public knows, but quietly put it all in a box, roll it into Round River, and then we continue our access into backdoor queries. We find something, that's interesting, issue a new subpoena, and then take it into another court case. So this is what Jack Smith's been doing since 2022, but it gets worse.
Jack Smith, the same guy who wasn't authorized,
He wasn't even legally appointed.
He wasn't legally appointed. Oh my God.
Which we've been talking about for years, because to be a special counsel, you got to be a current government employee. He was not. He wasn't even a current employee.
Oh my gosh.
He was a private citizen.
Holy cow. What have you found? What have you got here?
I got a ton of stuff. I'm telling you, Sean, as you go through this, and I've only got 24 slides or something like that. Not that many, but there's a lot of information. But I wanted to show you the mechanisms, okay? So you use their own standards so that you could predicate evidence and use the height. This is the height of their own standards. You actively devise a plan to bypass them. And they did it by using sensitive investigative matter, which doesn't require the same DOJ approval. And there's one of the things that does, they violated their own self-approval rule. Okay? The same person who opened the investigation self-approved the...
What?
You're going to watch it. You've heard these names before. So there was a routine abuse of their own authorities.
How
Okay,
can you do that? Wait, that doesn't make any sense. How do you abuse your own authority?
Because you don't expect anybody's going to find out.
I don't know the mode.
Okay. Do you remember the comment, these people are Maxine level stupid? When you're
No, but I
so
like that.
arrogant and so full of your own shit smell,
Yeah.
you just don't think you're going to get caught. It applies to everybody but you.
Yeah, this is what happens when you get away with it for so long. It's enabling.
Right.
Wow,
So-
Mitch, thank you for the fleet, brother. Good to see you.
So I'm telling you, we're in a situation where these legacy slides are relevant. So we're looking at a relationship document here. Remember post 1828, 1829. This is the org chart that comes out of that. And it shows you how the domestic spy operation was built. Okay. I'm just going to go quickly at it. If you look at
Please.
the left,
Yep.
this comes out of those two posts. Remember these posts?
Holy shit, yes.
Remember these?
Of course.
You see all those carrots and these letters, and translated, it looks like that.
No way. No way.
That's what this becomes this.
How did you do this?
It took me all night that night when that post came out. The day that post came out, because I didn't have the right tool to build it.
Wow.
But if you look at this, you see these. That's the White House, Obama's White House, V, DM. These are initials. You see the kill boxes.
So they made a graph. This is a graph.
I made that graph. Thank you very much.
But that's what this was. This is
Yes.
should have been translated
These are
to a
carrots
graph.
that are showing you how the elevation goes, right? Carrots up and down.
What's a carrot?
So
What do you mean a carrot?
the carrot is that triangle, open-ended triangle. It's called a carrot.
Okay.
That's called a carrot.
What is it?
It just shows you look up. So this one, for example, is look up 2, 4, 5 levels. Okay.
Oh.
So 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going up 5 levels.
Oh, okay. Okay, that helps.
Okay.
All right, yeah.
So I translated this here into this here. There's no pictures.
This is brilliant.
I did this years ago. Anybody that's known me for a while knows that this is a very old slide.
Okay.
I made this in 2018. That night, August 9th. As we were on air when that popped in, and I said, wait, that's an org chart.
When that post was
The day the post dropped.
Really?
I made this that night.
I never heard. Listen. I've been covering Q for a hot minute since it started, and not one person have I heard break this down as an org chart like this. Not one person.
That's what this is.
Good job.
And I'm sure now you're going to go look at 1828 and you're going to compare it to my chart and go, I get it.
Well, all right. So, what is the org chart showing here?
So if you look at the left over here, you're looking at the weaponization. The presidential daily brief was being weaponized. All the metadata, unmasked the electronic intercepts. You got the NSA.
Even for people like Bill Clinton and Obama.
Well, every president, they've actually come out and said that now. You had a release from a CIA analyst that were telling you that they were withholding from the president's PDB.
Yeah,
we
we
knew
just
this.
suspect it's been Trump, though. That's all.
No, we knew this in 2003
Oh my gosh.
with the 9/11 Commission. They withheld key information about 9/11 from both Clinton and Bush too.
You're showing the shadow government right here.
What they did is they bypassed. And so you're looking at how that translates all the way through the system and how it ends up over at MI6.
Holy shit. Unelected bad actors.
So you're looking at, and so we got this going on inside the government. Notice we're using the media and we're outsourcing it then to London.
To
Wait till I
London?
show you. It got outsourced. That's where do you think Christopher Steele came from? So you ready for that?
I was born ready. Let's go. This is exciting. It's shocking.
I'm actually gonna sit here and make you sweat.
I'm not surprised, but I'm shocked. That might sound like a double
Shocked.
entendre.
How are you shocked?
But yeah, I should say, let me reverse it. I'm not shocked, but I am surprised.
About
At just how deep
this goes.
Just when I think I've thought it's really deep. No. I'm always proven that it goes even deeper. It's bigger than every single time. Never fails. Wow.
So this is the domestic piece, which is what John Solomon's very actively working on. Should I go? Maybe I'll skip over the next slide. Let's just go past the next slide.
Don't you even think about it.
So this is also an old slide.
Yeah.
What I spent the last couple days doing is putting in all the pictures so I can talk to this.
Okay.
Okay. So now you have a frame of reference. I had a very reduced slide before this.
Yeah.
Because I would always talk to it. And I know this story like the back of my hand, so I didn't need the cues. Okay. And I thought all these pictures make it look so muddy that I chose to go to the reduced version. Well, because it's clear to me a lot of people don't get the whole story, I went back and I added all this shitola to it. Okay? So where do we start? We start with fabricated political gossip out of the Clinton campaign. It is an election year, folks.
So 2015. 15.
We start with this fabricated gossip. Actually, we started really pushing it in 2016. We get Cody Shearer, who's an investigative journalist, supposedly, to write up his thought. He gives it to Sidney Blumenthal, very close component of Hillary Clinton, and in the State Department. At the same time, we get Charles Dolan to whisper in Danchenko's ear about this political gossip, right? Mm-hmm. And then we start this entire overseas facade. We take the first source with Cody Shearer. We run it through Halper, right? Halper is an FBI confidential human source, right? We whisper in Halper's ear. Halper, however, and we've heard about ONA, is heavily funded by the Office of Net Assessment out of the Pentagon. Why is that important? Because this guy, Adam Lovinger, back in 2019, told you about it, right?
Yes.
He told you that he exposed these contracts and how they didn't meet muster. He immediately loses his clearance. Right? He has no access.
So he's punished,
but what do we find out? That's the first indication where we found out that one of those black programs that Rumsfeld warned us about back in 2001 was a money laundering machine out of the Pentagon.
Whoa.
That was our first indication right there. Yes, this is Pentagon.
Gosh.
Office of Net Assessment is the Pentagon. Will you please just jump out of your chair?
Laundering money out of the Pentagon.
Yes. It's a piggy bank for all of these operations.
I know some
the
people
entire
are gonna
government
be like,
uses.
Sean, are you really surprised? $100 for a hammer, $600 for a toilet seat. I get it. I get it. Mm-hmm. But however, to be this brazen about it.
So he found out about it, Adam Lovinger. He finds out about it. He exposes it. He gets retaliated against. He becomes one of Grassley's whistleblowers. Wow. So with his, because you see, Halper couldn't do what he was required to do in this entire scam if he went in as an FBI source. Okay. He went in as a Pentagon elite expert, right?
Yeah.
And that's how he was able to entrap Papadopoulos. So Halper now is...
Wait, Lovinger?
No, Adam Halper.
Halper, yeah, with the $10,000, right?
Nope, we haven't gotten there yet.
Okay.
Don't get ahead of the story.
Okay.
because the story, I've been chomping at the bit.
Well, thanks to his wife or his girlfriend at the time.
Simona. Well, it was his girlfriend at the time. They're now married.
Yeah.
Anyway, Halper works with Downer.
And
Downer
he's
he's an Australian diplomat, right?
Yep.
So this is where this gets interesting.
So Five Eyes.
Okay, so let's get these two here. Let's work from the other end. Tawil is a part of it. Milian is a part of it.
Mifsud, I know. Yep.
Mifsud is another asset. He whispers in Papadopoulos' ear, "Hey, I hear Russia's coming up on dirt
On Hillary.
So come back over to this side of the triangle, right? Now we get Halper and Downer meet with Papadopoulos in a bar. Get Papadopoulos to talk about this seeded information that Mifsud seeded. You can see this whole plot.
At this point, Papadopoulos has barely just started working for the Trump campaign.
But let me tell you, they used him intentionally because he's young and stupid.
Who used him? Mifsud,
This
and
whole
Halper,
plot,
yes.
they purposefully entrapped him because he was young and stupid.
Yeah.
So anyway, once Poppy exposes what Mifsud whispered in his ear, Downer tells Wood, who's a diplomat, right?
I've not heard of him.
Sir Andrew Wood.
Yeah, I've not heard of him. But
He becomes important to the post-election scam.
Oh, Chatham
Anyway,
House. Oh, for crying out loud.
Downer tells Wood, who tells Turnbull, who then issues it back to the Five Eye Network through
my
May.
gosh.
And now you've got an international shield, right? Now you've taken political gossip and given it the specter of a national security threat. You're following me, right?
Yes, of course I'm following you. Is this why it's called Round, as in Round River? Like
Round River is a
round?
database. We'll get there. We're going to go around. But this is before Round River. This is what started Crossfire. So now we get to the election. Trump gets in.
Okay.
This Five Eye data gets mentioned to McCain at a meeting. McCain sends Kramer over to physically pick up this dossier.
Yes, I remember this.
Okay.
Yep.
So he picks it up. McCain hands it to Comey.
Yep.
What's interesting is all of this information is made up in 17 memos.
Wow, it's been so long since this is incredible.
That's why I'm doing this. I'm going through this for a reason. There's 17 memos that make up the dossier. So now we're post-election. Our story's already starting to fall apart. So we take a business associate to Will, and we drop $10,000 into Papadopoulos' lap in a hotel.
Yeah, because
Talk about friends and family, right?
you have to report that before you go on any flights, or you're gonna.
This is where Simona saved his butt.
She saved his ass.
She says, "Oh no, you
Wow.
don't. Are you stupid?" They
Yeah.
leave it in the hands of an attorney in Greece. He flies back
Brilliant.
to Dulles Airport,
Brilliant.
and the FBI can't find the
You
$10,000.
got yourself a keeper, George.
Foiled. He ends up going to jail for 14 days because they needed something.
Yeah.
Because he misremembered something. But keeping this going, because we now need a post-election strategy, because everything started with fabricated gossip. And remember, they opened Crossfire in July. So now we got a problem. Trump is coming in, and we've been illegally surveilling him all this time. We got to keep this shit going. So once McCain gives it, Kramer goes and gets it. McCain gives it to Comey.
Jeez.
It's handed through the intel system. Now we need the media to really get on board. And you got these three yahoos that talked about it happening in September, again in October, and then finally in January, you get BuzzFeed to print it. And we launch.
That's those
9
three,
years.
That's BuzzFeed.
These
That's the
are-
three Yahoos you talked about.
You
right?
got BuzzFeed. You've got
Huffington.
oh god, mother.
Mother.
What is it?
Mother Jones.
Mother Jones,
Yep.
and you've got Yahoo.
Holy cow, man. This is incredible. You're blowing my mind right now. It's been so long since I've revisited this, but this is incredible.
But the intent, what is the intent? To take gossip and make it a clean predicate for an investigation by putting it through an international shield. Now you know why
It's elevated.
London is freaking out.
But who elevated that? Or did Trump allow it to be elevated? I don't know.
My gut tells me, let's see how far these jackasses will go.
Okay. Because this is where Kash Patel and Devin Nunes comes in. Mm-hmm. Right? With their whole investigation. Nunes.
So when you recognize that they're using Downer to actually be the beginning of a cleansed information loop,
Right.
it starts to make sense what they're doing.
What, right now?
All the way through to today. It actually, what this did was taint all the news today and is actually the genesis of TDS. And I'll go through that today.
Good luck selling that.
I'm going to tell you right now.
Because
I can prove it.
Everybody has gotten so used to the TDS that the media is so riddled with TDS that it's going to be hard to really paint a picture that TDS is a result of all you're
Gossip.
seeing on the screen right
Gossip.
now. That's really hard to conceptualize, by the way.
But it's exactly true. When you've got a media that can perpetuate it for you, it became the source of TDS.
The source. Okay.
This is where it started. And I'll show it to you. I'll go through this whole deck. I'll show it to you. Because now what we've got is a system, people in a system where they've got to shift from data preservation, because they know once Trump got elected that Crossfire Hurricane was going to fall apart. And this is why they needed a Mueller special counsel.
Well, here's...
Because what they were doing, and this is why they boxed up all this information.
What, to gatekeep it?
Well, they needed now to preserve the data so that when the special counsel came in, he had access to all of this tainted data.
Oh.
So because the collusion
As if they
gossip,
would preserve this to be used against themselves later on, though.
but they never thought that she would lose.
Holy shit, Feisty. Holy shit.
Because the gossip had no factual predication to it, they had to focus then on manufacturing process crimes. Go back and look at everybody that they held accountable. They were all process crimes. A FARA notice.
Kleinsmith.
Kleinsmith actually committed a crime. But when you're talking about foreign agent registration, when you're talking about money that you misrepresented or didn't represent, they were all process crimes. None of it was Russian related. Nobody was held accountable for Russia collusion. Nobody was. If you go back to even the Russian influence farm, they ended up suing the federal government because what was in their indictment didn't match what was in the Mueller report, and the federal government had to drop the case against them. Manafort was put in solitary confinement over a ledger that was forged in the Ukraine embassy.
Fraud. That's fraudulent. That's
Total fraud.
Yeah.
And he's sitting in solitary confinement. Why did they do that? Because he's an associate of Deripaska.
Deripaska.
And as Deripaska is more Ukrainian, but Russian, Deripaska had already captured Manafort. Why? Manafort had money problems. Deripaska bailed them out. So they thought if they could go after Manafort,
they could tie it to Trump.
Not just tie it to Trump, but they could force Manafort, because of the issues he has with the money. They thought they could force him to give up dirt on Trump. Manafort did not.
Yeah. Wow. As if they've had access to all this intelligence, you really needed to rely on one individual for dirt. At this point, you couldn't have gathered it before. Holy
But you
cow.
see, Manafort was important because at the time, and Trump fired him within a few days of that coming out. But at the time, Manafort was made Trump's campaign manager, if you recall. Mm-hmm. And this news started to come out. Trump fires him as a campaign manager. But the purpose of going after Manafort was to get him to flip.
By the way, we got a couple thank yous. First and foremost, got a shout out to the lovely sober lady 77 who just dropped us a $50 Rumble rant. Says,
Oh, very nice.
love that we for a 2-day love that we for a 2-day review of this because there's so much great info here. Thanks again, Feisty and Sean. My goodness, thank you so much, sober lady. God bless you.
He's referring to the dry run I did in my chat yesterday.
Okay, yeah. And thank you to Mountain 17 with a $10 Rumble rant. Says, a real college course for us. Love you both. That's why I told you, Mountain 17, I play the role of a student, and she plays the role of professor.
Am I educating you?
Well, if something doesn't make sense, and I think we should do a recap, if something doesn't make sense, or if I need to simplify some things, as I suspect many out in the chat who may be new to this, or even some of the OGs who need a refresher, right? There's got to be simpler ways sometimes to recap this. To generalize.
I can't think of it any more simply than what I just did. Even spending 2 days putting all these pictures on here, damn it. I mean, tell me it worked.
So it was a it started with gossip.
Yes,
it started with gossip.
This entire thing started with gossip.
But the thing that's really hard for me to reconcile now is that it's the genesis of why mainstream media today has TDS. Here's why. Because if we suspected that...
back up. That isn't the genesis of mainstream media having TDS. Mainstream media is paid to have TDS.
Right. Well, this is what
so that people that are listening to those yahoos get TDS.
Correct. And that's why I was going to say, I think it was their plan all along to sell whatever they needed to sell in order for the DSA, the Democratic Socialists of America, to take over the blue tent. And
just so it's worth it to hear, not that you need to hear it, I don't think DSA minded one bit the political turmoil we've been in all these years.
No,
that
of course
started
not.
with campaign gossip to make Trump look bad so Hillary Clinton could get across the finish line.
They were going to do it either way.
Right. Well, I don't know. Well, DSA was going to create havoc.
Either way.
This is the genesis. You can leverage what three jackasses do so that you can use that to further
they could have done it
the public.
They could have done it a million other ways, but
why? When you got a story made for you right here, this is gold.
Is it though?
It is gold. When you can take a story that to this day people don't realize started with political gossip, take a story and divide a public, getting it fighting with itself, and then completely, parse that out to where we're arguing among religion, among sex, and we bring in, and then you slip in trans and all that. You have a society that is completely being blown apart.
Yeah.
What is it communism needs? It needs exactly that crisis point where people say, please fix it, and we get communism.
Yes, I've been trying to say this.
They didn't need to start it. All they needed to do was leverage what three jackasses started in 2015.
And because it wasn't just this, we also got PB Gate. Don't forget that one.
Well, you just keep adding all they've done.
Trump.
Remember when Radcliffe said that the conspiracy continues? Because every iteration of the story built on the previous iteration, because now we're getting caught.
I just saw Jonathan
and
Turley.
I'll show you this if you let me move on.
No. I'm just kidding. I saw Jonathan Turley yesterday, post that there's no statute of limitations on conspiracy.
There isn't. Because there is a statute of limitations on a conspiracy, but not conspiracy. When you build a conspiracy off of a conspiracy off of a conspiracy, it continues the statute of limitations. This conspiracy, which this is, right? I've laid it out.
I thought it was 5 years.
It has never ended.
Well, that's gonna they would have to prove that in court that
I can prove it just in my deck today.
The conspiracy that preceded this, right here, was somehow connected to this. They would have to prove that in court. By the way, yeah, Barry.
I think it's time for a commercial.
Yeah, the commercial is our audience that is very kind and generous enough to throw us a couple of gold pills here and there and some Rumble rants as well. Love when you guys put comments in the donations. And again, shout out to the Ballistic Mitchell for the fleet. God bless you, brother. Shout out to Charlie 3 or 5. And Charlie doesn't just throw 5 cookies if for no reason. It's either 3 or 5. Mm-hmm. That's why.
So 3 is good. 5 is good. Better.
5 is great. No, 5. Okay. Charlie is enamored.
So we haven't hit the great part yet. But I'm only on slide 7. Yes, we have, because
he gave us 5 cookies.
Are we now up to 5?
No, he gave 5.
Oh, he gave 5.
Period. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Charlie. God bless you.
So, are you ready?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Is a frog's ass watertight? Yes.
I am going to now go through the master blueprint. You're going to see this come up, and I will break out each one as we go through it, because this is 10 years of an unbroken continuity of a conspiracy.
Stop it. Okay.
Okay? 10 years we're in this, from 2016 through today. And you're looking at how federal investigations don't start from scratch, right? Mm-hmm. They inherit pre-existing interconnected technological plumbing from previous investigations. We go from Stellarwind, which is the route, into Crossfire, into Round River.
Okay.
Round River is a repository of everything that was in the Stellarwind database. Everything that was in the Crossfire database is all sitting in Round River database, which is what opened up Artic Frost, which is where Project Coconut and Project Cranberry come from.
Wow.
This is Jack Smith. And when Jack Smith became special counsel, he inherited the 3 repositories.
Oh, okay.
Is it coming?
Yes. But why?
Okay.
What was he planning on doing?
Because they needed a crime.
And he couldn't find one.
They couldn't find one.
Well, they had to, and this just came out the other day. You saw that clip of Kash Patel on the X22 talking about how the Biden administration had reached out to Mar-a-Lago and said, we got some boxes here of files for you.
I have been talking about this since that day.
Yeah,
NARA had no it wasn't NARA that said that.
They changed the law after that, by the way.
No, it wasn't NARA that said that. It was GSA.
GSA. Right.
GSA boxed, categorized, and shipped. Told the Trump administration, come get these boxes.
Yeah, it was
They were the ones that packed it up.
Yeah.
NARA actually feeds into the story. It gets worse, becomes a national security issue now. But NARA said, wait, there's classified information in there. NARA has no authorities, statutory authorities on that.
Right.
GSA followed NISPOM and had the Yahoos in Round River actually talk to GSA, there would have been no plasmic echo.
GSA, by the way, for anyone who doesn't know, is a General Services
Administration.
Yeah.
So now that you made me tell the story ahead of time, I'm just, suffice it to say, this is the plumbing that is used all the way through. The plumbing was never changed. It was just added to. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah.
Okay, so you got a master network here that shows how legacy intelligence was systematically remined in every successive data sweep. Are you getting it? So remember, I'm in Round River, right? All this information's in Round River.
Yep.
I go back to the Crossfire repository, which is now in Round River.
You're
and
Jack
I say,
Smith, and you go back to it.
You're Jack Smith. And look, let's talk to John Smith, okay? John Smith is mentioned in Crossfire Hurricane. Let's issue a new subpoena to get his new records.
Oh, okay. All right.
See if we can back into a crime.
Even though they can't rely on that because it won't because it's
This is all fruit of the poisonous tree
right.
based on a fabricated story.
So this goes back to what I said earlier that they'll
Cleaning. This
use
is
this information to gather something else.
So because this data
Okay.
is not clean,
Yeah.
he has to issue new records requests to cleanse the data they put in here.
So it can be used in the court.
This is how all of the Trump circle got caught up in indictments.
Holy shit. This is the weaponization.
Right
here.
down to his chauffeur.
Wow.
Remember?
Yes, I do. It's incredible.
So that's how this has happened. And you're watching this master database until July 17th. July 17th is when they started releasing this information. Now you got people inside the government that are going to freak the hell out. And let me show you why. Let's start with, I want to talk about the metadata because this is what they're really mining, right? And I think a lot of people forget that metadata is worth more than the original communication, right?
Yes.
It doesn't matter. I don't care if it's law enforcement, if it's in a court of law, metadata is gold.
Yes. Yep.
And so if you can use metadata to reconstruct a crime, then using that metadata, you could go and create more incidences of a crime, right?
Yep.
So what it becomes is the map. Now, I'm going to just point out something. This is where I had a 2-hour argument with Gemini AI
Holy shit.
because it told me I was full of shit that they weren't looking for metadata.
Did that really come out on 7/17?
Yeah.
Why didn't I think
That's
about
why
this before? Did you
You
look at
didn't.
post? Have you looked at post 7/17?
Yes.
I just pulled it up.
Go look at it.
It says public in a semicolon FBI/DOJ/O-WH, which is
White House
O. What's the O stand for?
office.
/SD. SD? Southern District? No.
Southern, is it Southern
No.
District?
SD would be FBI, DOJ, White House, O-White House, SD. And then it says private, semicolon, clowns, 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 and to expand your thinking. That's interesting. All
just
that
read
information
this.
came out on 7/17. Jeez. Well, it
Okay,
began
so
on 7/17.
it's FBI, DOJ, Office of the White House, SD.
It doesn't matter. You don't have to.
Expand your thinking. You see it?
Don't want to distract you too long.
Well, I appreciate it, but I'll get back to that. But I did read it because it is a marker.
Yeah.
And if you go and look at each week after that, it really takes you back to the next week. Boom, boom, boom.
Oh, after that post? Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what we've been talking about. So let me continue. So if you're looking at Crossfire going into Round River and you're coming into the point
State
where
Department. Thank you.
State Department, thank you.
Thank you, Maiden Pew.
If you're looking at this all coming together into a massive release of information, then what you have is a special counsel's office that's not only already illegitimate, but any work product out of it is. Are you catching?
Yeah, sort of.
Okay. What don't you get?
Can you just go through that one more time?
If you got a Stellarwind
Yeah.
coupled with a Crossfire Hurricane rounded up into Round River, right?
Yep.
Without predication, you open up Artic Frost. Where is it?
When you say without
Open up Arctic
predication,
Frost.
meaning no subpoena,
They're
no
looking for a
summons.
crime, right?
Right. Okay.
They're looking for a crime using tainted data.
So, they're criminally looking. They're unlawfully,
yes,
illegally
that's the
looking
key
for,
thing is
yeah.
that what they're doing is illegal.
Okay, now I get it.
But what it means is every work product that comes out of Jack Smith's office
It's illegal.
is illegal.
Wow.
There's no predication.
Everything,
Every
every measure he
work
took.
product.
Holy shit.
Yes,
Wow.
every
And
work
that's going to
product.
be used. Damn it.
Don't tell me it ain't going to be used. You got people. And remember,
Yes. Oh, shit.
you've got cases that were open to go after like Giuliani
Oh, yeah.
and Lindell Giuliani, they've already started taking his money, trying to ruin him. So let me keep going, because when we go into the overlay for Crossfire Hurricane, you're seeing what I've already told you, right? You've got, it was authorized by Director Comey, and it was a broad counterintelligence umbrella that actually managed 4 targeted cases. And these cases aren't by accident. If you don't mind, I'm going to go through them.
Please.
Because when you take each one of these in order, I gotta, which slide is this? 10. When you go through these in order, let me go give you the story for each of them. So we're looking at first Crossfire Razor. That's General Flynn. Crossfire Razor was important to them because General Flynn, as being head of DIA, knows where the bodies were buried. He knows the entire intelligence operation. He knows everything that they were doing up until he was fired in 2014. He knew all of that stuff. And as a result, he knew all the shenanigans, and he had already warned them that he was coming in to clean house. Remember? As a national security advisor.
I remember this.
So
well.
they had a real objective to get rid of him.
Oh, yes.
Right? And anything, and his experience goes back to Stellarwind. All the illegalities under Stellarwind. Remember, the IG said that they started to go sideways starting in 2009. General Flynn knows what went sideways. So we're going to go back in history and hold people accountable. Had a few people jittery, right?
Yeah.
So I'm Carter Page wasn't an accident because he was an energy consultant. He lived in Moscow for a little bit.
So was Papadopoulos.
No, Papadopoulos did not live in Moscow.
No, he was an energy consultant.
Yes, but he was an idiot energy consultant.
He was young.
He was young.
Yeah.
He was naive. So they specifically used Carter Page not to indict him. He was never going to be indicted.
Well, they ended up.
They strictly wanted him for the 2-hop rule because he was an inside advisor to the Trump campaign.
That makes so much
we
sense.
put him under FISA. We get the 2-hop. We'll get Trump's communications, and we will build a crime.
And you guys understand what she means when she says 2-hop rule, meaning they used him to because of his connections, right? I assume, right? And then they could start to spy on everybody that he's had communications with in order to track down pertinent information to continue going after Trump.
Well, I think what's key about him is they knew that he was a source for the CIA.
Yeah, he was a valid source for the CIA.
He was a valid source for the CIA. This is where Pienka and Kleinsmith come in. In August of 2016, there's a cover sheet that goes on every FISA packet. And one of the things they have to check off is whether or not they contacted the other agencies, FISA forward agencies, to find out if the target is a source. So Pienka does this in August. CIA sends back a packet of information saying, yes, he's a source.
Okay.
In October, now that, it's really pretty clear Trump is going to win, they really need this Carter Page FISA. Kleinsmith sends an identical letter to the CIA. CIA sends back, just like we told you in August, he is a source. If you need help with the packet, let us know. He inserts the word not. Okay? So it came out as he is not a source.
All right.
Okay? From the beginning, this whole thing is BS.
Yeah, bogus, of course.
But the purpose for him is that 2-hop rule. I mean, for Carter Page, is the 2-hop rule. That's all they wanted because he's with the Trump campaign and because they now have a FISA on him starting in October. That FISA valid is what took you into 2017, and now they're spying on the Trump administration. Remember, a FISA lasts 6 months.
Right.
It was continued right up through the point that Mueller's report was turned in 2019. There's 3 more FISAs.
Okay.
Okay, so you've got literally 2 years of FISA where they're literally spying on the Trump administration. Talk about it should blow everybody's mind. You've got the executive branch spying on the White House.
Yep.
I'm speechless to this day over this. So that's the reason for Carter Page. It was never, and I think he ends up becoming a trap, because the other thing you get is you find out who's using the 702 and how.
I wonder if this has anything to do with what Catherine Herridge posted. What was it, yesterday?
I don't know.
About SES prosecuting the shadow government. Multiple criminal statutes are relevant. Abuse of power, violations of ethics, senior executive service, dereliction of duty. Transparency falls short with accountability. She went into all the things that the SES, because we're talking about the executive branch, correct?
Right.
That's what you
Senior
just
executive
mentioned,
service,
which would include the SES, correct?
Right. Senior executive service.
So violations carry severe consequences, including criminal penalties, fines, termination, and disbarment from government contracting forever.
Okay. Did you see what Trump put out yesterday? He's looking into disbarment.
Yes.
Okay. You realize that doesn't include criminal. You realize that you can be disbarred plus go through criminal trials. They're looking into treason. John Solomon just confirmed that. And hopefully I'm showing you how this has happened.
Yes,
Let me keep going. Paul Manafort, he was an easy target. Manafort was made the campaign manager. He already had issues with Deripaska because of the money. Mm-hmm. So they thought if they could kind of strong arm him to flip on Trump to give them dirt, that would be the easiest way to prove Trump colluded with Russia. Correct. Paul Manafort refused to do it. He ends up in jail in solitary confinement, was released on compassionate in 2020. Remember?
Yep.
So let me get you into Crossfire Typhoon, because this is actually a bigger story and a bigger issue. Mm-hmm. So focusing on Papadopoulos, because his story really, it is through Papadopoulos that we end up with the International Shield, a legitimate special interest matter. You've got all kinds of machinations they went through to entrap him. And you got a kid, thank God, to his wife, that didn't quite fall into all the traps.
Could
and he ended up
very easily.
Easily.
Oh, could
right?
Yeah.
So he was junior. He was an unvetted campaign advisor, but he was targeted directly because he was inexperienced and he was susceptible. He was malleable, right? We could, because he was the arrogance that comes from that. Yeah. So let's talk about the ghosts of Mifsud and Milian, because I think I call them ghosts in the
Which
scene.
one went? I think it was Mifsud. No, was it Helper that went dark? Like could not find him?
No, it was Mifsud. Mifsud still you can't find him.
He still has no idea where he is.
He went dark right after Papadopoulos' story came out. And so I'm going to talk about Mifsud first because he's intriguing to me. He's a heavily integrated Western diplomatic, high intelligence kind of person. He's in all those circles.
Yep.
Although now you understand why Durham and Horowitz and any of the Southern District prosecutors couldn't find anything to substantiate that because of Round River, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You get it?
Yes.
Because they parsed off that data.
Yeah. Yep.
They have no actual proof that this is true. But because of where he spoke and who he talked to, it is logical that he has high intel connections. Okay. And he vanished entirely once Papadopoulos' name came out. Why? Because he's the whisper in Papadopoulos' ear.
That's right.
Hey, Russia's digging up dirt.
So that's when the setup began.
And that's when the setup began. This is the beginning of this whole thing. If you take that to the next step, then you get to Will, who's supposedly a business associate. Okay? And the only picture of Twill on the internet is Papadopoulos with Twill's son.
I've not heard that name, Twill, before. Never.
Twill is a business associate, and I've been looking for years for Twill's picture. He is completely wiped off the internet. Got a picture of Poppy with his Twill's son, but the face is blurred out.
Okay.
Okay, so, when in doubt, be a good dad and throw your son under the bus, right? Yeah. So he's the one that supplied the $10,000 cash.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so that's Twill.
For anyone who doesn't know, anytime you try to take any more than, I think it can be like $1 less, $9,999. But if it's $10,000 or more, you have to
declare it.
You have to declare it before you can even think about boarding that plane. If you don't, boy, that throws off red flags, especially when you land. And this was the arguably was the attempt to capture him, was so that he would be detained and arrested once he got back to America.
We're running out of time. You got to let me keep going.
Go.
I'm going to stop you now. So he's lured to Israel to a hotel, dropped 10,000. Simona comes in and says, "Are you nuts?" They leave it with a Greek attorney. He flies back to D.C., gets off the plane at Dulles. The FBI go, "Come see us." He doesn't have the 10,000. So there's their first oh shit moment. So that is really important to the Round River story, because now we're coming into where that data from Crossfire Hurricane actually comes into the Round River repository. Okay? That is really important, because now you're here with this overlay, with the hidden spine, if you will, of everything behind us. So you got Stellarwind, which captured what? Remember? It goes back even to post World War II. Yep. You got Stellarwind, you got Crossfire, all sitting in this repository. This repository, and that's all it was a repository, is authorized by Lisa Monaco and Nikki Floris, the two people that have been.
Oh.
So from
full circle we come. Okay.
Yes. Following the invalidation of the Carter Page warrants, Crossfire had to be shut down. Crossfire, actually, the Fisk issued these scathing rebukes, and any prosecutor that signed a FISA is forever barred from ever submitting a FISA again. That came out of the Fisk in 2020. So they have no choice. They got to shut it down. But they don't want to get rid of this treasure trove of data.
Oh, yeah.
So they migrated into Round River, right? It's all here. So to permanently insulate them, they partitioned it, because the court said, hey, we need you to partition the data from Durham and the data from the Clinton administration, Clinton investigation. So Crossfire and Durham are complete. It's supposed to be walled off, right? They call it the Clinton Annex and the Durham Annex. That's what they're called. And that's coconut and cranberry. So this is where I now learned something over the last couple of days. So I'm sharing new information with you. By parking all of that investigation into a partitioned annex, they were supposed to ensure that outside audits could look backward at past abuses that kept them without accidentally viewing or disrupting any metadata. Remember, metadata is gold.
Yep.
So they wanted to make sure that they protected the data and they kept too many eyes off of it. The issuance here of Round River, though, is they gave it a special protected status. So very few people had access to what was behind this. This is why you could not, remember, this actually starts back in 2018. You could not, Durham wouldn't have seen this data. Horowitz would have never seen this data, right? So you're looking at data that was completely walled off.
Yep.
behind a protected status, special access.
That's right.
Special investigative matter.
They knowingly, FBI knowingly kept this from, kept the IGs from accessing
From
this.
finding this.
Yes.
So that's why the bridge, right? So we take tainted data, bridge it through, and then you got two walls. This is coconut and this is cranberry.
Mm-hmm.
So you manage these now in two different databases. And once you do that, then we just sit there, we wait. Well, then you have J6. Okay. J6 is interesting because this takes us to Rampart 12. And what you see is the first test drive of their new architecture. You remember when Boebert and Gosar were under investigation because they gave tours to their constituents at the Capitol?
Mm-hmm.
This investigation ran nearly a year. Nothing was ever brought about it. But one of the things that did come out of it is you got to test your new plumbing.
Oh.
And I had to put his picture up here. He's
That's
one of the people
interesting.
on Rampart 12. When everything went to hell in a handbasket for him, he tried to run for office in Virginia and only got shot down because the Supreme Court in Virginia said, no, Virginia, you can't change your map to 11 or 10 districts for or Democrats and one for a Republican. So he can't run for office now. But he actually tried to run for office in Virginia. Why? Because immunity. You get immunity.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay.
So they thought, he thought it would protect him.
Yeah.
But the abuses here is actually a dry run. And I'm going to start speeding through some of these slides.
Please.
I'm about halfway through. This is the slide of slides. What I tell you on this slide and the next slide, please pay close attention. In 2022, the FBI opened up. This is Timothy Thibault.
Yep.
Remember, we've heard
I remember
Grassley talk
Tim
about him a
Tebow,
lot.
yep.
So this is Plasmic Echo.
Antoine.
Plasmic Echo was opened by the FBI in March of 22. It ran till the end of the year. And it goes into Jack Smith's purview at that point. And Jack Smith was appointed in November 22. But this is the whole records complaint from NARA. Okay? Tim Thibault, with authorization from Stacey Moy, who's at the Washington field office, and the supervisory chain, Steve D'Antonio, they authorized this investigation. Here's where it gets really to the point where you got to go, son of a bitch. Because it should have never been an investigation. Why? Because it was a GSA project. They never talked to GSA. There was no intent to talk to GSA. What this was the precursor for Jack Smith. All that information is sitting where? Round River. The repository is Round River. That's why these overlays.
So we just need access to that.
All that investigation stuff ends up in Round River, and it's all about the documents.
Do you know is there any way to confirm whether or not they got access to Round River?
Jack Smith did.
Not Jack Smith.
Yeah, that's what Jack Smith used to go after Trump.
Yeah, but is there any way for us or whoever's
It's
Joe
public.
DeGenova,
Grassley's been.
for Joe DeGenova?
Yes, they
gain
already
access?
know. Where did I get this information? I didn't make it up out of thin air.
I know.
This is coming from Grassley. He's telling you this.
This is great. This is great.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to take it a step further because when Jack Smith then is made special counsel by Merrick Garland, he inherits Round River and everything that's in it. And they immediately open Artic Frost. Artic Frost is open in April of 22. Remember, this is opened in March. 2 weeks later, you got Artic Frost. So they literally are using this FBI dragnet to populate Round River in preparation for Artic Frost and for Jack Smith.
Wow.
Okay. Jack Smith is appointed in November of 22. He's immediately given the full database. Okay. So you got the authorization where it was opened, and you've got Grassley on his tail. We've been listening to this now for years.
Right.
Okay, I'm going to keep going because they have an overlay. Remember, I said they are under court order to partition this information. Project Coconut, Project Cranberry. Get ready for the story.
Okay.
Project Coconut was designed to take the J6 information, wall it off, and Project Cranberry is designed to take the Mar-a-Lago classified documents information, wall it off. And anytime somebody went into the master database, you had to have these filter teams to go in and get rid of the purge data. Wow. Now, I'm going to go back one for a second. What is the big deal about this investigation? It's right here with NARA. FBI issued a subpoena. NARA turns over 45,000 pages of communications. Okay, what are those communications? White House communications.
Whoa!
Keep that marker in mind because it continues through to this day. So here we are. This is how it was done. Remember, they bypassed this operation. There is a rule that you cannot be in two roles at the same time.
Right.
So you've got Harbach and you got Wyndham are both on the filter team.
God, Feisty.
But they're the lead prosecutors under those cases. So as soon as they went into the database, for example, Mar-a-Lago, they got the communications from the White House. Within 30 minutes of that database being populated with the Mar-a-Lago, the White House communications, Harbach downloads it all. The prosecutor who's on the filter team downloads it. And everybody else started to download it. Same over here with Wyndham, doing the exact same thing. So everything that was supposed to be kept behind a firewall came out from behind it.
And the right people panicked?
Not yet.
Okay.
They didn't think they're going to get caught.
So
I think last week was a big deal.
Yeah.
So you've got these individuals. You got these individuals that are now in here into a problem because they've not only broken the law. There's a lot of laws that are being broken here, and I'm just so you know, I'm almost done. I'm trying to speed through a little bit.
Good.
So you get to this overlay, and the overlay is interesting because now you've got illegal data being illegally accessed to make illegal indictments.
Mm-hmm.
You hear the problem?
Yes, knowingly.
Okay. So knowingly, willingly, right?
Yes.
So where I showed you before the compromise, right, how they compromised the filter team, now let's look at the chain of events that come out of this. Because Jack Smith, with all that tainted data that they pulled out from behind the firewall, now issues over 400 subpoenas to refresh that data and cleanse the tainted data. And what did we watch? Everybody in Trump's circle, all the way down to his chauffeur, ends up under an indictment or under, right?
Yep.
So this is where this is coming from. This is how this happened. Are you following?
Yes. Oh, yes.
So that bypass is the legal conundrum we're in right now.
We're in or they're in?
We're all in. Because it's now become a national security issue. Okay? Mm-hmm. This is the BBC lawsuit. 5x5, 10. Right?
Yes.
$10 billion lawsuit, 5, remember?
So two $5 billion claims, one $10 billion
$5 billion
lawsuit.
in defamation, $5 billion for breaking Florida law.
Yep.
Okay. These are the people, Monaco and Floris. These two are really key. Where did they go? They're at Microsoft. You got Graves and Wyndham, big deal. I would actually add Harbach to this, but at least
Microsoft, that would make Microsoft national security threat.
So Trump issued a statement telling Microsoft, you better fire these two or you're going to lose billions in Pentagon contracts. 2 weeks ago.
Did he really?
Yeah. He told Microsoft, fire them or you're going to lose billions in Pentagon contracts because it's a national security issue.
Yes.
Why? Let's go back to the 45,000 pages of White House communications. That ain't just about J6.
Right. Oh, yes.
It was a dragnet
And did you hear the yesterday? I reported on this last night that they were running. Solomon reported on this. They were running a some just like they did with COVID. They were running some sort of what's it called program before
Censorship.
5 months before J6 on how to prosecute mass prosecute minor crimes.
Right.
Wow.
But here's the problem.
Knowingly. Again.
The 45,000 communications they grabbed wasn't just about J6, wasn't just about the election. It's 45,000 White House communications.
How they were going to try to...
54 spreadsheets of data. Of every
they wanted everything.
communication.
Yeah, they wanted
so
it
that's
all.
national security.
Oh, yeah.
That's everything. Every conversation is logged and in Round River.
Takes your breath away.
So when you start looking into the fact that they withheld from the White House about China, the communications would have been anything that would have led them to believe that maybe they were getting wind of. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
But you're talking national security issues here. Who's got absolute? You got Wyndham to Graves to right to Monaco and Floris. They have access to those 45,000 pages. That access, they're now with a major cloud servicing company that is heavily integrated into the Pentagon with all of this national security information.
What about internationally?
That's the point. That's
Microsoft
why Trump
ain't just exclusively here in America. How many
That's
people in the
why
world have
Trump-
a Windows computer?
That's why Trump said fire them,
It's too
and
late
he
for
has
that.
to do it. So in the lawsuit, they were forced to put in a document review right here, Friday,
Yeah.
exerting executive privilege. They're forced to do it because if they don't, what they have becomes admissible in court. Now, because they're exerting executive privilege, they better not share it. And if anything comes up, they've committed a high crime. But this is how you get into that stalemate, right?
Whoa.
You see it?
Yes.
So major national security information that could be shared with the BBC, because the BBC is asking for the exact same 45,000 pages of information,
Yeah, they
which
want
means
discovery.
they know about it.
They want discovery? Oh, my gosh, Feisty.
Yeah, the exact same 45,000 pages. This is a foreign company that is connected to a foreign state wanting access to our national security secrets.
Wait, we all know the BBC is a state-run.
It's state-run, yes.
Just like the NPR is. That'd be like England.
That's why the
with the
DOJ
NPR.
stepped directly in the other day. That's why they directly stepped in and said they're going to intervene with a blanket sovereign immunity clause. And there's precedent.
These are acts of war, man.
Yes. So what is BBC actually looking for? They're saying that they want to prove that there were communications in the White House about J6. And so they're asking for all of the data that these two have access to.
BBC is?
BBC.
Holy.
They want the data that Wyndham and Harbuck downloaded.
This is the House of Lords using the BBC, I suspect, to do this, to achieve this.
Why would they do that? Because they're scared to death about their part in the political gossip that became a global drama.
Rat bastards.
Right. So let's take this to the next step. That's case study 1. Let's take that into the Jack Smith investigation because it actually adds to it, right? So now I showed you the BBC one. Now you've got, because of the plumbing of Jack Smith, now we're going to look at all the shared personnel. This is the same thing we've been looking at, right? The same 4 people that we've been looking at all along.
There's got to be more than that.
They've got, no, these are the key people.
No,
there's more.
Key people,
but
yeah.
these are the key people. And if you notice, they had oversight and they were the operational layer.
Yeah, they were controlling, they were gatekeeping information.
Right.
Sick.
You're seeing this, right?
This is sick, makes me sick to my stomach.
So, like I said, when you look at the shared personnel, You got the exact same people again are coming up. And and remember, they downloaded Harbuck, not Wyndham. Harbuck downloaded that 45,000 pages of information the BBC wants.
Who were they subservient to?
I don't know.
I know.
I don't know who the master is. I wish I knew. So we now have a national security crisis, right? You can see it.
Certainly.
Right. So when you trace these individuals and you go back to Lisa Monaco and Nikki Floris, you got definite issue within the federal government. And the fact that Microsoft is a cloud servicer. Now, I went and looked. What is Microsoft saying? They refuse to talk about it. Hint, hint, hint. They
There's a case. That means it's in court, guys.
Right. There's something going on behind the scenes, right?
If what you're saying is true.
Yeah, they refuse to talk about it. In fact, they said they have no comment. No comment. I refuse to say anything.
Who do they say no comment to?
Anybody that's asked, any reporter, anybody that's asked any thoughts about Trump's threat, because he made that threat public. He put it out on a Truth Social post.
Okay.
So everybody's been asking Microsoft, what do you got to say? They're like, no comment, no comment,
Okay.
no comment. They have nothing to say,
and
right?
doing really well.
So now you see where 45,000 pages of data. Now, mind you, let me visually bring you back up to speed. For almost 70 years, we've been doing Dragnet, capturing every piece of communication we can find. And we migrated into each successive database to now we get to Crossfire, where we're trying to validate, by any means necessary, political gossip, that all of that information now is migrated into Round River that leads to an illegally appointed person as a special counsel to go find a crime and convict. Clear? At the same time,
which is
we got the BBC trying to get inside information. And that inside information would dry us up from a diplomatic perspective. Think about what BBC's goal is. Being an arm of the British government, it would shut down our diplomacy if they got access to all those communications. They were trying to not just lame duck Trump, they're trying to end his presidency even as he sits behind the Oval Office
Holy
desk.
cow, right now, you think?
Well, end his presidency if nobody's going to talk to you.
Because I've been hearing talk of expunging his two previous impeachments. I've been hearing chatter about that.
You can hear all kinds of chatter about it, but what is BBC's goal? Think about it. If they get the 45,000 pages of information, they'll neuter him so badly that there will be no diplomatic effort. We will be dead on the world stage. It is a way to keep the shadow government going. Remember,
they think they're going to wait him out. I got a clip from Pete Buttigieg saying it himself.
This is part of the reason why the BBC lawsuit is so important to watch, because he's suing them for defamation. They've now postponed it till February, so we can get beyond the
after midterms.
election.
Isn't that convenient?
After midterms, and
Wait,
we're
who does that benefit?
Trump right now.
To delay it till after midterms. Okay.
Right. But the discovery process is now made longer, right? And they're fighting to get those 45,000 pages.
Will they get it, you think?
No, there's precedent that says no.
Okay.
I mean, we are talking all of the White House communications.
Yeah.
45,000 pages of information contained in 54 spreadsheets.
Very privileged information. Right there.
Don't forget that also includes communications of 44 senators. I mean, you're talking the entirety of the upper echelon of our government captured in that data. Any foreign entity would be chomping at the bit to get that information. So you see it.
Yeah, oh yeah. This is incredible.
And these two individuals are sitting in Microsoft who had access to all of that.
So that makes me nervous because I'm using Windows right here, right now. This is why I wish I stuck to Linux. Damn it.
So he didn't.
What?
This
what did
is
I do? Who didn't what?
no.
Say
My
it.
husband, he didn't break this up right.
Okay.
So in the BBC lawsuit with the Jack Smith investigation, you bring in everybody else. All these pictures I've been showing you about. Remember Brian Auten? We know about Tim Tebow. Same structure. And this takes you into an even bigger issue, because now you're looking at all that information with the Congress, BBC, the 45,000 pages of raw intel. All of that comes into play, and it greatly affects everybody that was brought under the purview of the investigation. Jack Smith.
Right.
So just going to the hard truth on this one, a civil lawsuit may finally expose what the intelligence community tried to hide. We'll have to see, because they've exerted executive privilege that may have changed. Let's talk about Project Volt, because this is a big deal. Right now, and again, this investigation is sitting in Round River. Right now, China has a global monopoly on lithium, right? They're 70% monopoly. We've intentionally been suppressing our own mineral deposits. One of the things you find out in all the information that was released the other day, there's a whole lot of shit about China that they didn't tell anybody about, right? These people gatekept it. Trump is starting to do Project Volt. That takes us into an interesting national security threat, because when you look at the Dragnet pipeline, you're looking at a chilling reality, right? You got a systemic national security threat that actually matures into a total threat against our national sovereignty. Right?
Yeah.
And it shows you how you can start with political gossip, don't correct it, and it becomes this major issue that Trump is trying to deal with right now.
Overwhelming. I can't imagine.
Overwhelming, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we again, the same people that are linked to all those databases knew about the threat that is China, did nothing with it. Instead, they continued, because of their TDS, trying to find ways to go after Trump and Trump-aligned people, regardless of how tangential these people were. You've now got a situation where a national security threat is brewing, and nobody gave a shit because it was about get Trump.
Holy shit.
Did I summarize that well for you?
Yes, you did. Perfectly.
So now I'm going to synthesize this, because this takes all of the maps. If you look at the blue in the center, you're looking at the 5i logs, right? The raw data. You're looking at disclosures, anything intercepted, all the communication, everything built up since Stellarwind till today, right?
Yep.
And right into suppressed Chinese intel. We've got this all in a massive framework. It's called Round River. Go to the purple. You're looking at all the defensive maneuvers they took to try to keep a lid on this. The BBC litigation comes into play here. The motion to intervene by the government in the BBC to exert executive privilege, that's all figured here. Now, because of what they put into this database and because of what some of these people had access to, it's led to a lawsuit that's forcing us, rather than get to full justice, we have no choice but to exert executive privilege.
With 5i?
You don't want Five Eyes having that 45,000 pages.
No, you don't. Because do you really trust those so-called allies? Canada, hello.
So let's get out to the green area, because that's the final end game, right? This is where Trump is deploying the Defense Production Act, the Executive Order 14241 that he just recently signed that puts control over our infrastructure, the Kings Mountain expansion. All of that comes into here. He's now got to contain all of this mess, which is a perfect time for a complete team to be put in place to go after the center core. So while he's shielding this, you got John Solomon telling you, yeah, we're giving it a fine look as to what's in there. How do we know that? because we got all this just came out. Just kind of did a key thing from each of these. Nikki Floris and basically running a shadow government, right? Mm-hmm. You got the presidential daily brief being massaged to keep Chinese information out of it.
Creating her own shadow government.
Well, this is a shadow government in the FBI. This is a massaged presidential daily brief that hid 220 million records that China got access to.
Oof.
Right? Voting system vulnerabilities. There were reports about it that they hid from the president.
Michigan.
You got the Michigan registration stuff that proved there were issues with China.
Yep.
And you got the non-citizen voter rolls.
Oh.
All this came out last week.
This is brilliant.
This came out last week.
What you have done here is brilliant.
Thank you.
Bravo.
So, I think there's a solution. I don't want to leave everybody going, whole shit. I think there's a solution. I've actually thought about this. I'm not sure. I'll let the brainiacs that get behind the computer do that. Mm-hmm. But if you create a cryptologic chain of custody access log, you can be more proactive. Instead of waiting 10 years to get to justice,
yep,
we can be alerted before we get this far. So I'll leave this to land there because it will capture all of the structural changes they've tried to make that they've purposefully circumvented. Nice. Create an entry point, cryptologic access point, so that you can automatically validate if somebody should be in there versus not. Remember, Rogers found people.
Like a vetting process.
Right. Rogers found people that were accessing the 702 that didn't even have clearance.
Yes.
Remember? Yep. So, and you can audit it in real time to find out if the predication is there, because you got to justify the case you're going in for. Oof. And then, make a red flag. You can lock somebody out immediately while you vet to make sure that it's resolved.
Yeah.
That's my theory on that.
I love it.
I want to stop on a cautionary tone. Remember, this started with political gossip. It has now led to a national security issue and a constitutional crisis. Political gossip has disrupted this country. And Trump has said he's never this is the greatest witch hunt in American history. Remember what started the witch hunts? It was gossip.
Gossip. Yep.
People lost their lives then. People are losing their lives now. People's lives are being destroyed over gossip.
Oh, yeah. Well said.
I mean, just keep that in mind as we decide who's guilty, who's not guilty. Please let the courts trust the system enough to let the courts decide.
Yes.
You don't need to weigh in.
And also, yes, celebrate the innocent until proven guilty aspect that we're supposed to celebrate that.
So what they did with Trump is people had grudges, just like they did in the witch hunts, right? You had people that weaponized their grudges, started tattling on each other. It becomes gossip that then people who, I just don't like the guy, so they do confirmation bias, you know that term, and then you end up with hearsay.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
And they started targeting Trump networks. Back then, they were targeting women who got together for coffee in the morning. Mm-hmm. Today, we're targeting anybody that's Trump aligned, right?
They need the kids, the youth.
Then what did you do? You had to enforce the conformity. You went after some of these people to shut down everybody else who dared speak about it.
That's right.
Right? They're doing it now. There is no difference between the 1600s and today. Why? Because we can't grow the hell up. My point.
I can't believe you scrunched all that and be right before 6:30.
I did.
That's impressive.
One last point. Okay. I'm getting tired of hearing that AI is doing my research. I have 5 pages, single spaced,
AI can't
of
do
all my
your
sources. AI can't. It screws it up.
They can't do anybody's research.
I put together.
You got to know what to research.
You got to know your topic. This is just a piece of it. I wanted to look pretty on the slide. These are my sources.
Yeah,
from years of
USGS,
research.
go to executive orders, access congressional records, federal court filings. Yes, and you want to use AI to speed that process up. Use AI, ask AI to find...
Let me give you an example. AI, I had to tell AI, go look at these IG reports.
That's what I was just saying. Yeah, go ask AI to go find executive order 14241.
I had to find those. I had to know about them.
Yeah.
So if you don't know your topic, AI is not going to be your friend. Not only that, AI kept telling me things like there's no such thing as a BBC lawsuit. I had an argument with AI because it is not true that the federal law enforcement was looking for metadata.
It's like, in the public domain.
Right. So just to say, I am here. I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Oh.
I really was looking forward to presenting this, and I did it in an hour. Right?
Wow.
Was that?
You crushed it. I hate that we have a hard stop right now if I want to make it to the grocery store.
Yeah, well,
so wow.
It is as it is.
That
but
was
hopefully
impressive. Everybody in the chat's loving it.
Well, thank you, everybody. I can't see the chat right now, so.
And apologies to everybody that we couldn't make it yesterday, but thank you, Feisty, for being willing to do this today at 4. And I'm already looking forward to Thursday. Cover the news. And I'm sure there won't be anything that'll drop from now until then, I'm sure.
I hope not. But actually, my goal was to get you up to speed on what you're watching. So as this stuff drops, I can talk about something that actually fills in more holes.
Well, like you said, follow the BBC lawsuit.
I've been saying that since that came out, yes.
Right.
So I hope you enjoyed it.
I did.
I'm glad I was able to do that. I'm glad I'm able to finally talk about some of my own decodes. Because I've taken some shite for that. But
gonna take shit anytime you're over the target. It's gonna happen.
Yeah. And I really do. For anybody that wants to know, in my chat room, the slides are pinned.
Yes.
In my chat room.
Shout out
You're welcome to the slides.
Marissa's
at
been
any time.
dropping your slides, a link to your slides. So
I'll link to the channel. Yeah. So
thank you.
God love you.
I'll talk to you soon, love.
Bye.
All right, bye. Oh my gosh, you guys, that was impressive. Guess what? We're gonna go raid over on Rumble. We're gonna go sit tight, guys. We're gonna go raid Stormy, Absolute Storm, and now over on Pill, we're gonna go raid Woke Society. So God bless you guys. Thank you for joining. I got a hard stop, and I will see you guys tonight at 10 p.m. for America Rising News. I think Ash will be joining me. I don't know yet, but I think Ash will be joining me. I don't know if Johnny will be either, but I know I'll be live tonight at 10 p.m. for the news over on America Rising Media. God bless, guys. Stay safe, stay dangerous. By the way, Scratching's released. Go get your gold pills, everybody. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.
asking the players in the shadowed game where the silence